Kaiju movies. Big monster, or multiple big monsters, arrive in a city and wreak straight havoc on civilization, showing how humanity is caught in the crossfire. And found footage movies, usually filmed from a first-person perspective, giving the illusion that the events unfolding are real, in air quotes. Most people are smart enough to tell it isn't. Now, what do both of these subgenres have in common? An element of horror. It's more common in found footage, but there absolutely are some kaiju flicks that have a little bit of a horror element to them. Shin Godzilla absolutely comes to mind. And that's where today's subject comes in. The kaiju found footage film Cloverfield, directed by the GOAT, Matt Reeves, famously known for Dawn of War of the Planet of the Apes and The Batman. If you've been watching my channel for a bit, you may notice I'm not showing my face right now, which is totally unusual for my content. I did a poll asking if you all would be okay with some faceless videos covering some smaller topics and some one-off videos, whatnot, and everyone voted yes, so yeah, this is going to be the start of that. It's not going to be for every video, but this will hopefully help me upload more consistently, as the videos I film with my face in it take a lot more time to edit and everything. But without further ado, let's take a look at Cloverfield in honor of the spooky season. The film opens with a statement from the Department of Defense stating that the entire film that we are about to witness was recovered footage from a personal camcorder, being a part of a designated case Cloverfield. After this, we are greeted with the first of our two recordings in this film, recorded on April 27th, 2008, as we are introduced to Rob Hawkins, one of our main characters, as he wakes up Beth McIntyre before going on a date across New York. The second recording, which is pretty much the meat of the entire film, picks up almost an entire month later on May 22nd, 2008, where we find out that Rob is moving away to Japan for his new job, as his brother Jason and his girlfriend Lily are throwing a surprise party for Rob before he leaves. At the party, Jason hands off the camera to Rob's best friend, Hudson aka Hud, and asks him to film testimonials for Rob during the party. There's a little bit of drama there though, as Beth shows up, but she brings another man. Why does she do this, you may ask? Well, it's because Rob never called her back. What the hell was bro thinking? But anyways, they argue for a bit and Beth leaves before what they assume is a massive earthquake shakes the building and causes a citywide power outage. And from the roof, everyone witnesses a huge explosion off in the distance, running inside before any shrapnel and debris can hit them. After this, everyone gets out of the building and onto the streets of New York, where the entire ass head of the Statue of Liberty is launched directly at them, landing in the middle of the street. Amidst the panic, HUD catches a glimpse of a big-ass monster not too far from where they are at. Oh no. And after finding a temporary shelter in a convenience store, the group attempts to leave Manhattan by crossing the Brooklyn Bridge. Big mistake, buddy, as in classic kaiju movie fashion, the tail of the monster smacks onto the bridge, destroying it and taking Jason with him. Rest in peace, buddy. After getting back into the city, Rob runs through another store full of TVs and the group follows, and we see that on these televisions, there's a news report showing that the military is engaging in combat with a giant monster, and that smaller parasites are falling off of this creature's body and attacking the soldiers. After this, Rob receives a message from Beth that she's trapped in her apartment and cannot escape, which leads not only him but the rest of the group to head towards her direction. This decision lands them directly in the crossfire of a huge battle between the monster and the military, and here's where we get our first clear look at our boy Clover. As he lets off a nasty roar charging at the military, the group runs into a nearby subway to escape the beast. Once again, big mistake, as taking this detour through the subway leads them directly to a confrontation with a horde of parasites. This is like the most docile creature you can find in Australia. The group narrowly escapes, but Marlena winds up being bitten by one of the parasites in the shoulder. They find themselves surrounded by soldiers shortly after, and like right as they get there, Marlena begins to bleed from her eyes and is dragged away by a biohazard team. What follows is a scene that literally traumatized both me and a good chunk of my friend group when we were kids. We can see as Marlena is taken behind a tent, her entire ass head explodes, soaking the inside of the tent. Disgusting scene. Rob persuades one of the military officers to let the group go, as he still wants to save Beth, but before they leave, the officer does let them know that the military plans to execute a hammer down protocol, in which they will hit Manhattan with a bunch of nukes to take down Clover. And of course, that there will be one final round of evacuation helicopters before the bombing. They reach Beth's apartment building, which is nearing shambles, finding her with a piece of rebar poking through her chest. Ouch, girl. Shouldn't have taken that other guy to the party. Just kidding, just kidding. Before we leave, the camera pans up to look directly out of the window to see that Clover is running straight at them, pissed. They get to the evac point and Lily gets her own personal chopper for whatever reason, as the other three are taken away in the other helicopter. HUD looks down to see Clover getting bombed into oblivion, falling over and convincing the gang that he's dead, yet HUD just had to open his mouth and start talking that trash, and Clover must have heard it because immediately after, bro serves the most insanely timed karmic justice and jumps directly at the helicopter, knocking it out of the sky. The footage cuts to 15 minutes before the nukes are about to be dropped as we see the group just barely survived and crash landed in Central Park. HUD picks the camera back up after setting it down to help the others, but not before he is greeted with Clover literally standing right over top of him, and Clover must be a hungry little boy as he bites down on HUD, killing him, and I'm pretty sure literally like biting him in half. Rob and Beth snag the camera and hide under an arch in the park as they describe what has happened to them over the last 24 hours. The two profess their love for each other as the bomb goes off, ending this recording. Pretty much everyone aside from Lily assumed to be dead. The film ends with one last piece of footage from the first recording showing Rob and Beth on their day at Coney Island as we see something fall from the sky and land into the ocean. Roll credits. Except at the end of the credits we hear an audio clip that says, yeah, if you play it in reverse, it says, alluding to the survival of Clover. Okay, now that's the end of the movie. I think the biggest thing that I dislike about Cloverfield is the slight disjointedness between the two recordings that we see in the film. Really, aside from seeing the shot of the object falling to the ocean at the end, which turns out to be a satellite. Most people thought it was the Cloverfield monster itself, but no, it's a satellite. It really doesn't feel like that other set of recordings added a whole lot to the film besides showing Rob and Beth's relationship, which, you know, is good for a little bit of character development, but like I don't think it's enough to justify being in the movie. I also feel that most of the characters in this film could have been better. I don't think they were bad by any stretch of the imagination, but like honestly barely anyone in this movie gets any development aside from like Rob and Beth, and it's not even that much to begin with. Literally all I remember about Marlena was that her head exploded after getting bitten by a parasite, or like HUD. All I remember is that he's TJ Miller, who I usually despise in most movies, but he did an okay job here. Also wish that more of the lore surrounding the Cloverfield monster and its origins and everything was more fleshed out in the movie. I know that there's an ARG marketing campaign that surrounded this whole movie, and there's some expanded universe media, like a manga tie-in, I think it's called Cloverfield Kishin, and that is a whole can of worms that I'm not trying to open in this video. This is just a quick look at the movie. But the point being, that's not actually in the movie, so if you just watch the movie by itself, you don't have a lot of that context. But I feel like another set of recordings that maybe was like from, I don't know, a secret corporation or a government's point of view or something, showing maybe where the monster came from, or like the conspiracy surrounding the Cloverfield monster. Something relating to that I feel like would have been a little bit more beneficial to the plot. And above all, I just wish this movie was longer. That's what really jarred me when I was rewatching it, because I swear I remembered it being longer in my head, yet it's not even an hour and a half long. It's like 84 minutes long. Obviously, the low budget and the format of found footage probably lends this movie to being on the shorter side, but I don't know. I wish it was like an hour and 45 or something like that. And considering we're talking about this from a horror perspective, this movie isn't really that scary aside from that one very traumatizing scene with Marlena's head exploding. I won't be too hard on it over the horror though, as like horror is a very subjective thing, and it's rare I find a horror movie that scary nowadays, so I'm not going to hold that against it. Now, as for positives, let's start off with some of the other things about the movie I like before we get into, you know, what we're really here for. You can probably guess what I'm talking about. Big monster! I feel for a found footage movie, the cinematography, I know it's shaky cam, but the cinematography is so much more tolerable than a lot of other found footage flicks out there. Like, yes, is there a lot of shaky cam? Sure. But I can actually tell what the hell is going on for pretty much the entire movie. And anytime we get a real close shot of Clover, like, it's a pretty clear shot and we can see what we're supposed to see. I know I criticized the plot and characters earlier, and on their own, yes, I do feel they're still lacking, but in my opinion, it's a situation where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. On their own, these elements are just, fine, like they're serviceable. But put together with the rest of the movie and what it's got going for it, I feel it works out well enough. It creates just enough tension in the plot for you to at least hope that someone makes it out of this situation alive. The visual effects here are also extremely well done considering this film's budget of $25 to $30 million. There's maybe one wonky shot of the Statue of Liberty's head, and that's really it. The rest of the CGI is spot on in my opinion. Obviously, it's not like Godzilla Minus One impressive, where the movie costs $10 million and just looks impeccable all the way through, but like, it's still really good CGI in my opinion. And once again, I know I criticized the movie's horror elements earlier, but the parts of the film that are truly ominous and a little bit terrifying, I think go a long way in making this movie a more enjoyable experience. I'll say it again, Marlena's head exploding literally like traumatized me and my entire friend group when we were younger. Now let's talk about our big boy, the reason why we love this movie so much, our boy Clover. This might be a hot take, but Clover is genuinely one of my favorite kaiju ever featured in film. Obviously, I don't think Clover really holds a candle to the likes of, Godzilla, Kong, Gamera, or even some of the side kaiju from those franchises, but man, I don't know, something about the Cloverfield monster just really does it for me. I absolutely love this dude's design. It's just so freakishly odd. Genuinely looks like something that's not even native to our planet. The long, spindly arms and the strange mammalian ears and the bulbous, pitch black eyes just create such an interesting monster design, and man, his roar is just impeccable in my opinion. Like, one of my favorite kaiju roars, period. And there are plenty of other monster designs and movies that followed that I feel definitely probably took some inspiration from the Cloverfield monster. The two that come to mind for me are like, I can kind of see some Clover inspiration in the Mutos from Godzilla 2014, and you cannot convince me that the Death Angels from A Quiet Place were not at least slightly inspired by the Cloverfield monster. And honestly, like, they're only in the movie for a little bit, but I really like the little parasites too. There's some little freaky little bugs, and like, while they're not in the film much, the sequence with them is like one of the most memorable points of the film, and they kind of remind me of Legion from Gamera a little bit, the way they look. And I usually complain about a kaiju movie not including the monster for much of the film. I know I've done that with some of the MonsterVerse stuff, but man, there's some films where I feel like it makes sense not to show the monster all that much, and Cloverfield, honest to God, is one of them. Especially considering it's more in line with a found footage horror film. Spreading out those little morsels of screen time of Clover was honestly a great call in my opinion. It creates a foreboding and ominous vibe to the film that, like, around the corner at any point in the film, the characters could run into Clover and the parasites, and honestly, I really dig it for that. As far as found footage movies go, I feel that Cloverfield is by far one of, if not the best of the entire subgenre. This movie definitely has its flaws and honestly isn't that scary, but as I stated earlier, it's a film where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. I feel that everything this film has going for it comes together in a neat little package that's just so enjoyable from start to finish. There's a lot of expanded universe stuff that really fleshes out this film and honestly makes it better, like the manga tie-in Cloverfield Kishin, but that's not the point of this video. It's solely about the film itself. Call it the novelty of being a kaiju found footage movie, call it nostalgia, whatever, but man, I think Cloverfield is still a banger and is up there for one of my favorite kaiju films of the 2000s to now. That being said, I feel that time has been kind to Cloverfield, and I am going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. And that pretty much wraps up the video. I hope you all enjoyed this alternate format because I plan to use it more often. That way I'm not only uploading once every month or something like that. It genuinely kills me when I can't release videos as often as I want. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, comment down below what you think of Cloverfield if you've seen it, and let me know if you want me to cover the following two sequels, 10 Cloverfield Lane and the Cloverfield Paradox, or some more of the expanded universe stuff. I know those two really aren't about the monster at all, but like, I think 10 Cloverfield Lane at the least is worth talking about. I don't know about Paradox though. Paradox isn't very good. If you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe and follow me on my Instagram at Spacey. Link to that will be in the description. Also, I make music, and literally the night this video goes up, I will be releasing a new song for Halloween titled CRYPTIIDS, which you are currently hearing as the outro music. Links to this song will be in the description below. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you all for watching. Comment Clover Sweep if you made it this far, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.
sitting right within my chest, cause I hit the exact same one, cut back again like a record player. I smell copper in the air, please Lord, just get us out of here. Then all of a sudden upon my back